Sullivan's Crossing just did something that should have been a disaster. It lost one of its biggest characters and somehow got better. After Season 3 ended on a massive cliffhanger, a lot of people thought Season 4 would struggle without Sully at the center of the story. But after watching the first 2 episodes, I honestly think this show may have finally figured out what it wants to be. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Breakdown Epic. Sullivan's Crossing Season 4 is finally here, and after the Season 3 ending, there was one huge question hanging over this new chapter. Could the show actually survive without Sully? Because when a comfort drama loses one of its emotional anchors, it usually leaves a hole the writers cannot fill. But surprisingly, these first 2 episodes do not feel empty. They feel focused, more mature, more emotionally grounded, and maybe for the first time, the show feels fully confident in itself. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Let's talk about why Season 4 starts so strong, why Liam's arrival changes everything, and why this might be the best version of Sullivan's Crossing we've had so far. The show's biggest risk actually worked. Let's start with the thing that should have broken the season.
No Sully. On paper, that sounds like a major problem. He has always been one of the emotional pillars of the series. He is tied to the crossing itself, to Maggie's emotional history, and to the entire identity of the show. So naturally, hearing that he would not be back full-time made it feel like Season 4 might lose its center. But here is what surprised me. These first 2 episodes do not spend their energy trying to replace him. That is the smartest choice the writers could have made. Instead of forcing another character to become the new Sully, the show quietly shifts its attention outward. It lets the crossing remain the emotional home of the series, while the people inside it begin carrying more of the story themselves. And that makes the world feel bigger, not smaller. His absence is still felt. It should be. But the show does not turn that absence into a weakness. It turns it into a transition. And honestly, that is why the season starts on such solid footing. It understands that comfort television does not just survive through one character. It survives through atmosphere, connection, rhythm, and emotional familiarity. And Sullivan's Crossing still has all of that. This show still knows exactly what its audience wants. One of the biggest strengths of these opening episodes is that they completely lean into what the series does best. No Sully. On paper, that sounds like a major problem. He has always been one of the emotional pillars of the series. He is tied to the crossing itself, to Maggie's emotional history, and to the entire identity of the show. So naturally, hearing that he would not be back full-time made it feel like Season 4 might lose its center. But here is what surprised me. These first 2 episodes do not spend their energy trying to replace him. That is the smartest choice the writers could have made. Instead of forcing another character to become the new Sully, the show quietly shifts its attention outward. It lets the crossing remain the emotional home of the series, while the people inside it begin carrying more of the story themselves. And that makes the world feel bigger, not smaller. His absence is still felt. It should be. But the show does not turn that absence into a weakness. It turns it into a transition. And honestly, that is why the season starts on such solid footing. It understands that comfort television does not just survive through one character. It survives through atmosphere, connection, rhythm, and emotional familiarity. And Sullivan's Crossing still has all of that. This show still knows exactly what its audience wants. One of the biggest strengths of these opening episodes is that they completely lean into what the series does best.
This is not a loud show. It is not trying to shock you every 10 seconds. It is not trying to compete with crime thrillers, dark prestige dramas, or chaotic reality TV. It knows its lane, and that lane is emotional escape. The opening song, the lakeside visuals, the forests, the cabins, the soft morning light across Timberlake, all of it still works exactly the way it is supposed to. This show feels like stepping out of noise and into somewhere gentler. But what makes Season 4 stronger is that it is not using that cozy tone as an excuse to become empty. There is actual tension underneath it now. Maggie and Cal still represent the city to small town fantasy at the center of this series, but it feels more lived in now. They are not just visitors anymore. They are people trying to build an actual future in a slower, more intentional way. And because of that, Timberlake feels less like a postcard and more like a place with emotional weight. That matters. Because when the setting feels real, every decision the characters make inside it carries more force.
And these first 2 episodes make one thing very clear. The show wants us to believe that choosing a smaller life can still be a meaningful one. Not lesser, not boring, just different, more deliberate, more human.
The relationship drama is finally working again. Now, let's talk about the thing that this show absolutely depends on. Relationship drama. Because if the emotional storylines are weak, the whole series collapses. And thankfully, Season 4 starts strong here too. The smartest move the show makes is with Liam. A mystery husband storyline could have gone very wrong very quickly. It is the kind of setup that can feel cheap if handled badly. But what makes this version work is that Liam does not walk in as some cartoon obstacle. He is not written like a villain. He is not immediately toxic. He is not there just to annoy the audience. That changes everything. Because now Maggie's emotional conflict actually has texture. It does not feel like the old pattern of obviously bad ex returns to cause drama. It feels like the reappearance of someone who genuinely mattered to her. Someone who might still reveal parts of her that the current version of her life is not fully dealt with yet. And that makes the triangle more interesting than frustrating. At the same time, the show spreads that tension well across the ensemble.
Sydney and Rafe are clearly running into a deeper values clash. Lola and Jacob are dealing with the strain that distance and long-term uncertainty always bring. Even Edna and Frank, who are arguably the warmest couple on the show, are not treated like magically perfect emotional wallpaper. Her recovery is affecting both of them in a real way, and I appreciated that the show did not just treat major surgery like something you bounce back from by the next episode. That kind of emotional realism is exactly what the show needed more of. The female dynamics are finally a strength. One of the most refreshing things in these first 2 episodes is something the show used to struggle with, how it handled women around each other. Because in earlier seasons, there were definitely moments where the writing leaned a little too hard into tension, jealousy, and emotional friction between characters who should have been allowed to support each other more. Season 4 feels different. Maggie, Lola, and Sydney are not being pushed into pointless rivalry this time. Instead, the show is finally giving us something much stronger. Women who feel distinct, complicated, and supported.
This is the kind of shift that may not generate huge headlines, but it absolutely improves the viewing experience. Because when a comfort drama allows its female characters to actually uplift each other instead of constantly colliding, the whole show becomes warmer and more believable. And that is exactly what these episodes needed. The new characters don't feel forced. Another major reason the season starts strong is that the newcomers actually fit. That sounds simple, but it is not. A lot of long-running shows panic when they lose a major character and immediately throw in replacements who feel like plot devices. That is not what happens here. Liam integrates naturally because he arrives with history. He does not hijack the series, he expands Maggie's side of it. Ben is even more interesting because he brings emotional tension without over-explaining himself. There's a layered quality to him already. The kind of character where what he says and what he is actually carrying do not seem to match. That makes him feel worth watching. And Quincy? He brings something the show also needs from time to time. Levity. Not random silliness, not tonal damage, just a slightly sharper energy that keeps the quieter scenes from becoming too sleepy. That balance matters.
And what these episodes prove is that the writers are finally getting better at adding people to the world without making it feel like the show is changing its identity every time someone new arrives. Why this might be the best start the show has ever had. So, after 2 episodes, where does Season 4 actually stand? For me, it feels like Sullivan's Crossing has finally found its rhythm. Not because it suddenly became a different show, but because it stopped fighting itself. Earlier seasons sometimes had a habit of introducing dramatic ideas and then not fully earning them, or pushing characters into frustrating decisions just to keep tension alive. These first 2 episodes feel more controlled, more emotionally intentional, more comfortable in the kind of stories the series tells best. There is still romance, still longing, still small-town warmth, still complications. But now it feels like the writers have a stronger grip on which threads actually matter and which ones should be left behind. That gives Season 4 a confidence the show has not always had. And if it keeps this up, I genuinely think this could become the strongest season of the entire series. Not because it is the flashiest, but because it finally feels complete. So after watching the first 2 episodes, my biggest takeaway is this. Sullivan's Crossing did not collapse without Sully. It evolved. The show still feels warm, gentle, and familiar. But now the relationship drama is sharper, the emotional stakes feel more grounded, and the new characters actually bring something worthwhile into the story. What did you think of Season 4 so far? Do you miss Sully? Or do you think the show is stronger, focusing on everyone else now? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit like, subscribe to Spoiler Zone, and turn on notifications so you do not miss the next one.